on. Right, welcome to the channel. Today we've got the honour of having Martin Holahan, MBE, joining us to discuss combat stress and PTSD and stuff like that. I'm Shane, this is Martin, known to Ollie, to his mates. First, a little bit about combat stress. Believe it or not, 1 in 10 of our servicemen and women actually suffer from some form of PTSD, either while serving or after serving. And combat stress actually receives a staggering 18,000 phone calls annually. Now, they also do a residential, which is hard to get onto, so I believe, but Martin will explain more of that for us. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, when did you first realise that you sort of had any sort of PTSD, or when did you realise there was something wrong or not quite right?
It all came about, was like about 28th of December 2023. Basically, we'd been watching telly, me and Jan, and there was an advert come on for what's her name, Lorraine Kelly, doing a revisit as to Lockerbie. Now, within my time, when the Pan Am airplane was blown up, we as a unit were sent there to clean up, because it was blown up, so the wreckage and everything was blown all over the Kielder Forest. So there weren't enough policemen, so you send the army in to do things like that.
I can't even imagine what sort of things you'd actually see and have to clean up at a disaster like that.
Well, it started off out when you were in the trees and that, you could just like see bits and pieces of clothes, like suitcases blown all there and everywhere. And then you go out, and at certain points we came across people still strapped into, well, what remains of people still strapped in the seats, right? And having to do things like that. But it was an age-old thing. It started from when I first joined, right? You bottle it up and you carry on, because you don't have time to think, because you've got to keep going, or even when you go back, you've got to come out the next day. We were there for 3-4 weeks doing it day after day, and it was just one of them things. But that in itself, and seeing that advert on the telly for it, must have triggered something, because I'd gone to sleep that night, and I got to Janet, I just sat bolt upright in the middle of the night. She asked what was wrong. I went, and I couldn't speak. I was shaking from head to foot. I was crying, and it wasn't. And I'm not ashamed of the fact. It was just, all this was linked to that one thing. And it's like your brain, with all the things you remember over time, it just does certain things, and as you hide them away, it's like Pandora's box. Basically, the lid comes off and everything comes out, not just one.
After the Lockerbie disaster, so like you said, you were there for 2-3 weeks. Was there no kind of debriefing, sort of any kind of psychological help from the military after the actual event?
No. Them sort of things didn't even happen in them days.
So it was just like carry on, soldier on, basically.
Yeah, but like I say, all the traumas and everything else that I had, and I was a poster boy for the NHS at the time, who were looking after me at the time, to go down there for what I was going through, and people were down there that friends are still in touch with them. There was only like 5 of us, but it was one of them things where 1 or 2 traumas here. When I went down, and by the time I'd ended the first week, we found out I had 11 traumas that were coming out from my whole service.
That's all after the actual, once you got into your residential spot.
Yeah.
So what happened before we jump into that bit though? So I was saying to talk, so Jan noticed you had this little incident where
Yeah.
something came up Lorraine Kelly, sort of triggered something. Nothing to do with Lorraine Kelly, obviously, but it was seeing the locker being, it must have been some kind of anniversary then, I presume.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the 30th anniversary coming up or something like that.
So then, if that was that long ago, how old were you when you actually signed up?
I left school 16 and a half. I went straight to the army.
So you were a schoolboy, sort of.
Yeah,
Right.
1977.
So you joined in 77 and you stayed in.
I left in 2015 at 55. 38.
Oh, so you've done some years then, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't realise you'd served that long, to be honest, fella.
Mm.
So, obviously that was like one of your biggest... What year was that then, the Lockerbie?
80.
It was the late 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that must have
I
been
can't
well and
remember
truly
the
after
date. Yeah.
like your tours in...
Yeah, I'd done tours in Northern Ireland
and stuff like
that. Yeah.
Which that must have been a bit... So I presume your tours of Northern Ireland, there have obviously been some triggers involved there as well.
Oh yeah. It's like when I joined when I got to the battalion, I was still only 17. I got to the battalion while we were in Wheaton camp in just outside Blackpool, and on September the 11th, battalion deployed to Belfast for the 4-month tour in Northern Ireland, and I didn't go straight away because I wasn't 18 till the 19th of September.
All right.
So what they did is they sent me to, I stayed at the camp for a week or so, and then on the 18th of September, I was put on a boat at Liverpool that docked at 1 o'clock in the morning on the 19th of September, and I got off the boat as an 18-year-old, allowed to go on the streets with a gun.
Oh my days. After your basic training.
Yeah. And within 2 weeks I'd fired my first shot in anger, so it was very traumatic at the time, but even then, and I know it sounds like I repeat myself, but they say you've got to bottle it up. There was no psychological thing, no wind down thing. The fact was, get in there, get yourself a cup of tea, get an egg banjo, we're out on patrol again in an hour.
I'd like to think that the army's kind of wised up and they do things a little bit different now, but I don't know. So maybe down the line we'll have to talk to somebody that's not long been out of the services and
obviously
see if they have to change things.
Yeah, they
have
do
they changed?
Yeah, they do things differently, but in my opinion, it's still not enough.
Not for the actual
mental
health
men.
of the soldiers and men and women.
The individual men and what they've been through, right? To telegraph them with the same, like tar them with the all same brush, right? Is just wrong, because each one affects each individual differently.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
some people handle things in a different way, don't they? They either bottle it up or they just blow up.
And the longer you bottle, it's like mine. They've explained mine too, because I went immediately non-verbal. I could only communicate with thumbs up and thumbs down. When Janet was asking me simple things like, "Do you want a cup of tea? What do you want for tea?" She had to list what she wanted, and I had to then go, "Right, I want number 6, whatever it was." It's just when you automatically lose that ability, and it wasn't the fact that I'd gone numb or anything. It was a case of I knew what I wanted to say,
it just won't come out.
It just, once it left my brain, it just wouldn't come out of my mouth, and that got more frustrating than anything, which then was like a catalyst to the rest of them coming on. And as I referred to before, the Pandora's box syndrome. Right, once the lid's off, it's not going back on.
Not without a hell of a lot of help.
Yet you need some serious help to get that lid back on.
And that's where combat stress came in, sort of. So combat stress obviously didn't come in straight away. So I'm presuming the first protocol would have been Jan picking up the phone to your local GP and saying there's something wrong with Ollie here.
Yeah. Well, so she phones the GP. The GPs get in touch and got onto the local crisis.
Telephone.
Yeah, local crisis team, so we started getting the people, somebody come round and assess. But the immediate problem with that is it's all local, everything else. Nobody within them is physically qualified to deal with it. They're supposed to be as they. But what annoyed Janet more than anything was the fact is they didn't communicate within themselves. Over 14 days, I got 14 different people coming. So first of all, but they then look at me and start asking me questions, which then stress me out
because you're non-verbal.
Yeah, right. So they speak to Janet, and it's like so she had for an hour-long appointment. She spent 45 minutes explaining what had gone on, what's wrong with me, and then 15 minutes of them trying to do something for me. And then 2 days later, somebody else would turn up. There's
Start all over again.
They didn't even go on to, they didn't have a database where after filling it up, they would pull mine and go like that. So the next person could read what had already gone through and then could start from there. No, it was back to the beginning, which then stressed her out even more.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. You're not getting the help that
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
You know exactly what kind of help you want. Or
Yeah.
Jan's knowing what help you want, and it's just not coming forth.
Yeah. And then I got.
So who was it that eventually mentioned combat stress to you?
Well, what it was is, and I'm not ashamed of saying it now. There were points in the early times where I thought I was doing a disservice to her and my family, and I'd be better off out of it. And I sat there one day and I thought, yeah. And this time, I'd sat there quite a few days and gone through it. But what I did these days, I looked. And I just, for some unknown, I got my laptop out, I just went, and it came up with Up Courage, or something like that. And I just, there was a guy called Gary, his name was, and I just wrote him an email, and I said, I need help. He emailed me back immediately and goes, right, what? So I quickly typed out a brief history, and the fact I was the veteran, what was going on, blah, blah, blah. He said, leave it with us. At that next time we got a phone call, and it was Up Courage, which is a part of the NHS. And also within that, with the going non-verbal, I couldn't work. So all of a sudden, you'd lost your income. So debts were mounting. My brain was playing tricks on me and firing me
Stress and anxiety is going through the roof.
Yeah. Well, they came in, and what they did, and they were from the Leeds Newcastle NHS Trust, and they turned up. The two girls turned up day one, and it was a girl called Sarah, who was a mental health nurse, and she only ever dealt with veterans. She didn't mention anybody else, right? Only veterans, right? And she'd honed her skills, and to be honest, she was absolutely brilliant. But her cohort was a girl called Kirsten, who actually works with Walking with the Wounded, but she's on the finance side of things. So she came in, I signed a few bits of paper to say that she could act on my behalf, and she took that stress away.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, she took that stress away, and she dealt with that. And then I had Sarah, and just going through all different things each time, and because it was always them and no one else, you had to go for 2 weeks, or a week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, sometimes depends. They could be on holiday. But when they came back, it was them two, and we started off where we left off.
How long did it take for them to sort of get in contact with you?
Actually, they were after my initial email. Within a week, they'd phoned up Janet, because obviously this guy had asked for a point of contact and a phone number to talk, because when I said I'd gone non-verbal, he's like, he was saying in his email, he said, well, it's no good phoning you, who can I talk to? So he passed the information on. They phoned up, and this Sarah spoke direct to Janet to start with, and they organised a visitation where they would turn up and go through what they had to do, what they were going to do.
So
And
the plan of action that needed
yeah,
to put in place.
yeah, and it was, and also when they first walked in, they said, if you don't want this, if you think it's too much or whatever, just tell us to go and we'll go. And all it was, and I spent what must have been the first 6 to 8 weeks in bed. I never got out of bed. I had a laptop, so I had a gun like that. So when they started coming, they'd ask questions, I'd type and then turn round. Right? And after about 2 or 3 months with them, they were like, right, we're coming back next week and want you
These
out.
like home visits.
Yeah,
Right.
all of them were home visits.
Right.
Right. And they said, right, we'll be back next week, such and such a date. Yeah, I want you downstairs.
Out your bed. Get out your cot.
Get out your bed. Right. So the following, they turned up, I got up, I went downstairs. Jan was running around like a woman possessed, stripped the bed, stripped this, because she's trying to get me out of bed to do certain things. I didn't shave anything, and I'd never been a lover of facial hair. And the army taught me that, and I just something I kept up with. But like I said, they got me down, and that helped me in the sense where I could communicate, because I had the remote process. I plugged my laptop into my TV, I had a remote keyboard, I could pull it up, type, and they could see on the telly what we're typing at the time. Right, so it was no longer that, turn it round, give it them time to read. It then became an immediate response, and they were brilliant, right? And still the problem of the speech was there. I get frustrated, bits would come back, but I'd get like a stutter on, and the words wouldn't come out. And when the words wouldn't come out, I was reverting back. But that's where Jan still was like, you're not hibernating again. You're going to get up every day. You're going to do this. And it was like forcing
trying to find
yourself.
that motivation again.
Yeah, it was forcing me to motivate myself to do things, and that was that. But like I say, they turned up in the January of 24. No, sorry, February 24. They got in contact with me in the January, or with Janet, and then they turned up, and it was then up until.
I mean, to be fair, up to now, up to that point from your initial sort of Lorraine Kelly incident to actually getting them involved, that's quite quick, really. To be fair to the NHS, without knocking them, they'd put things in place, and you'd eventually, a few weeks down the line, you'd got to the right kind of people that you needed.
Yeah,
the specialist care that you needed.
Exactly. Yeah, that was exactly right. And I was then with them for 9 months, so that'd be about November, where Sarah and Kirsty said, right, we're going to move on to the next step, which was handing it over to somebody else for the next phases of your recovery. Accidentally, the person who I got turned up once, then she left, but never put down my information. So all of a sudden, it felt like
back to square one, snakes and ladders.
Yeah, back to square one. I thought I'd been dropped, and just out of my own mind and kindness, I turned around and I just sent Kirsten.
Get in your bed.
I just sent Kirsten and Sarah an email just before Christmas saying, "Hi, thanks for all your help this year, blah blah blah." So whatever her name was, I've seen her once. I've had nothing from. Hope you both have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year sort of thing, and that was that. And then within a day, Sarah was on the phone to Jan again. What's up? Jan explained everything. She went into a meeting with her boss and said, right, we've let this man down. He's had nothing. It's like
kind
he's
of
been dropped.
Slipped by the wayside of it.
She demanded that they allow her to put me back on her caseload, and they started again. But it wasn't starting from scratch, because as soon as they come in through the door, I knew where I was with them. Right.
So you'd already built up that rapport sort of thing between the two women.
There was no starting from the beginning again.
Do you not having to go back to the top of the chain and to explain everything?
And then they'd go, like, we're really sorry, blah, blah, blah. They went and they came back again in the January for a couple of weeks, on and on and on. And then it went to, they went back, and when they were having the monthly meetings, her boss had turned around and says, how's Martin getting on? As he managed to get back into the turned on, and he said, to be honest, he said, we as a trust have let him down. We need to do.
I mean, it's fair play to them for holding their hands up and sort of saying that they dropped the ball a little bit with your particular case.
Exactly, and that's where
once that pressure got back on, you were back in the limelight.
Yeah, and then they turned around and had a conversation, and they decided off that they thought I was a good candidate for combat stress. And
that's where things really started taking a turn for you, in the positive, not the negative.
Yeah, but obviously, what they, and the other thing I liked about it was that it wasn't the fact they went and went ahead. She come back the next day and said, right, I've had a word with boss. He says that we all apologise. We've dropped the ball. Right, we've let you down. We think you're an ideal candidate, right, to go for combat stress, and if they accept you with
your circumstances and all the criteria, you have to meet the criteria.
You have to do the assessments with them as well, and then if you meet that, we as an NHS trust that they were doing, we're going to fund it.
The other thing you've got to bear in mind as well with combat stress is they've got this lovely unit with 14 beds.
There are 14 rooms there.
So it's 14 rooms, which means ultimately they can house 14 people like Ollie and give them the specialist one-on-one treatment that obviously they need. But when Ollie was there, out of 14 rooms, there was only 5 people, 5 places taken because of lack of funding, which is hence why we're here today and why I'm doing what I'm doing, trying to bring a light into cases like Ollie's to sort of highlight the fact that combat stress needs funding, they need backing, and that's obviously, there's the proof of the pudding. Ollie was completely silent, and then it's obviously going to explain a little bit what he went through his residential, but before he went into his residential, he was unrecognisable, completely silent, no eye contact, no nothing from him. And then after, from what I've seen personally, after he went into, because at the time I didn't know nothing about combat stress, I didn't know what Ollie was going through. But then when he actually came out, and then I seen him at a party actually the first time, when he was at one of my sister's parties.
Nick's 50th.
Yeah, my sister's 50th or something like that. And he was completely transformed, absolutely night and day difference, and all of that purely down to combat stress. So on that note, we'll sort of, if you don't mind, sort of going through. So once you'd sort of gained contact with combat stress, you obviously had your telephone consultations and stuff like that. You met the criteria, but then you were fortunate enough to be given a placement.
Yeah.
How did they? That was 3 weeks intense therapy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Basically, if they'd have carried on with the NHS, going through the therapist side, and there are different they call it cognitive behavioural therapy. but there are a few different types of it, and what they do is they take you through your traumas and try and get you to relive it, but in a controlled environment where you can come to terms, find the calm within, and do that. But you get an hour's session in the normal world.
What, once a month or something like that?
Yeah, so 1 hour session once a month. I got into 3 weeks 36 hours intensive therapy. So that'd take
In
me,
combat stress, in
yeah, in
residential.
combat stress.
Yeah.
So that was, I was there Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday. So Tuesday was 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. Wednesday, exactly the same. Thursday, exactly the same.
But these are with highly specialised therapists that specialise
Yeah.
in veterans
Yeah,
and veterans only.
yes.
So it's not somebody going in with other like people
No.
that are not ex-military, for instance.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, although as I mentioned earlier that I was the poster boy for combat, for Up Courage, but I was also, when I got there, I then became the poster boy for combat stress, because I was the first non-verbal, right, person they had, because it's all about talking and
So
getting
it
it out.
wasn't just PTSD in your case, was it? It was CPSD.
Yeah,
So it's
complex. Yeah. That once they did all the assessments, me and the four of the guys that run it with me, we were all isolated as complex PTSD.
And that's only 5 of you, when you think there's thousands of ex-servicemen and women of all the services coming out every year, undiagnosed, not getting the help, and just spiralling out of control.
Yeah.
And they don't know about combat stress.
No.
They don't. I've looked on YouTube trying to do a bit of research for this, and there's very little out there. There's not a lot,
No.
especially for British ex-servicemen and women. And like I say, it's not just the army; it's the navy, the RAF, and the help. I couldn't find much out there doing a bit of research. There wasn't a lot, and you go on like YouTube. It's the information highway, and anything you want to know, it's the first port of call. And I went on there, and there was just nothing sort of explaining like what you've been through, how you got the help, and what people like yourself can do to get out of what they're going through.
Exactly. There is, like you say, there is nothing. I would liken it into an artist's picture. You'd never see the end result, because there is nothing out there showing you or explaining. You only see it when you're there and doing it and going through it, and you feel it. And the fact that you get the help, and it then becomes like an inner demon that you need to get it out there. You need to get information to people, and as simple as it sounds, it's just a phone call. They answer the phone.
On that note, the combat stress do offer a free phone number. It's an 0800 number, so any of you can just Google search combat stress. The number's there, and you'll get straight through to the men and women. I've phoned them myself, and they were so helpful giving me information and stuff. So if you are, or somebody that you know, a member of your family, or just one of your friends or whatever, they know they're suffering, then just get on the internet, find that phone number for them. I've not got it written down, unfortunately, but it is an 0800 number, so it's a free number. Give them a call. They're there for ex-servicemen and women to help you. Don't suffer in silence. And if you know there's something amiss, deal with it. And the best way that you can deal with it is the same way Ollie did. Picking up that phone, starting the initial consultation, explaining what you're going through, what's going on in your mind. That's where it all is at the end of the day, and it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
And until you're given the tools and the help to help you to get on with your day-to-day life and sort of deprogramming your brain in a way, I presume. So until you're pulled out of that circle and they discuss what your triggers are and how to handle your triggers and give you the tools where if you know you're going to have an outbreak, you know you're feeling a bit low or whatever, you've been given the proper advice on how to snap yourself back out of it before you spiral back into where you were.
Exactly.
So you've gone through all these, 11 triggers that they isolated throughout your service. Each of them triggers are all completely different, I presume.
Yeah,
They're
completely
different tours, different times, different circumstances. So they're having to break each and every single one of them triggers down into individual cases. So I presume they've give you different tools for different.
Yeah. But what they didn't do was overwhelm. Right? It was identifying the triggers. I'm coming to terms with the triggers. No, sorry, I'm wrong. Identifying the traumas and coming to terms with the traumas. Right? So what you do is pick a trauma and you start on it and you go all the way through it and you process it out until the point where you don't feel as...
So you're almost looking at it from the other side of the fence, the outside, rather than you just you're one-sided.
Yeah, and because we only had the 3 weeks and I ended up with these 11, it was like, I'm going to leave here and it's just going to carry on. And it wasn't. What happens is you then stay with them, right? So since I've left there, I've had 9 months of meetings with my therapist, right, on the team meetings.
From combat stress.
Same person I dealt with when I was there,
face to face,
my therapist. And what we did once I came home, we had 2 hours. She has 2 hour slots. And we had, over the space of 2 weeks, we went through, and she then went back to the beginning and said, right, these are the traumas. We now went back through the trauma, and she said, how do you feel? Revisited them. When she was happy that I was in the same place I was when I was there, go, right, now we'll deal with the trigger for that. And then we processed that trigger. Right, back through the lot of them. And on the final one, and the only reason I'm out of touch with it now is I think I'm all right, and also.
Can I ask you what sort? I don't want to go into too much detail, obviously, but what are the tools that they've actually give you?
Well, there's
like one of them, for instance, like if you know you're feeling shitty or there's a trigger, something's happening.
Yeah.
From a therapist side, how has she actually helped you?
Well, first of all, in a generalisation, it started off with find a happy place. A place that makes you calm, the one thing, right, in life, right, where you would be, what you would do, right, where you're happy. And
so you obviously you don't have to explain, but you've got that one memory, that moment in time where you know it's just that was just the pinnacle.
Mine was, rather than trying to find a happy moment, because in my life I've had quite a lot happy ones, I've had quite a lot of bad ones, but it was finding something that linked me to peace. I mean, it was like, and I just clicked, and I was like, I remember we'd done the garden, we built the summer house, I'd got the decking done and everything. I lit my fire pit and I sat on the edge of my decking, looked at it in the light of the fading sun. I went, it's perfect.
I'm home, get us a beer.
And that's me. I take myself back to that point, like, to calm myself down. Right. But if there are still, I think, 3, maybe 4 of my triggers I haven't dealt with. I've had processed them, but I haven't dealt with them because I haven't been able to come across them.
But you've now got the tools in your box to you know how to process it now.
To process it, I go back to my happy place, my calm place, get calm, and then I start. And one of the main things they both what courage and combat stress use is a thing called 5-4-3-2-1, and basically, first of all, look for 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear.
Is that to
and
distract your mind?
Yeah, and finally 1 thing you can taste, right? And it distracts your mind.
So the sound of that, they're working on your senses. So they're activating all your senses to take you out of your mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And by doing that, it just but like Up Courage in the beginning, they gave me a booklet. Anybody that's had anything to do with the military will know, used to get these booklet things. You call them aid memoirs. Basically, an aid memoir, French, it's an aid to memory. And knowing that, you open it up and it's got them the first thing to 5-4-3-2-1. Then the places where you can fill in what they are, so you can just go to it, read it, right? Or if you've got that on you and you see somebody stressed, you can go to and go back, right mate, here you go. Think like, and you can talk somebody through like 4-3-2-1 when they
snap them out of it pretty much.
When they don't even know what you're doing or why you're doing, but it's the calming effect, right? To get you into a point where you can then start to process what it is, because you can't process while your brain's working 1,000 miles an hour.
No, can you, Alex? I don't think anybody can they? Yeah. So I think you've really covered most of the bases today, and Ollie's basically come down from Carlisle, so he's had a right old journey to get here today to try and put his case across on YouTube and highlight the fact that combat stress needs money. See, and I've spoke to Combat Stress and I've looked on their website, and the weird thing about PTSD is, on average, it's 14 years on average of an incident where the trauma then kicks in. So it was a lot longer for Ollie, but when you think about that now, it's going to be our servicemen and women that have served like in like the Afghan and the Iraq war. So they're going to be the next influx that combat stress are going to be dealing with. So that's your brothers, your fathers, your uncles, your neighbours that are all ex-service. Some of them will probably still be serving, but they need the help that Ollie obviously got. Now, the thing that I'm doing, that I'm trying to raise awareness for, I'm trying to raise funds basically. I'm trying to do a bit for charity, if you like. I will put a link to my GoFundMe page. I'm trying to raise £1,000 with the help of my friends and family. They're all trying to push my GoFundMe out there. Up to now, we're just over halfway. We're at 51%. So we've raised over £500, which I'm absolutely over the moon with. And I've got 6 weeks to hit my goal. What I'm actually doing, I'm going to be running Manchester to Liverpool. It's a 50-mile ultra. I've never run anything like that in my life, but I've been training hard, and I've certainly been putting in the miles. I've done 42.5 kilometres this morning before he got here. Had a quick shower, and then here we are now. So the main goal today is, if you can and you're feeling a bit charitable, put your hand in your pocket, try and make a bit of a difference. Even if it's just £1, it goes a long way, because it only takes a handful of people to just chip that little bit into the pot, and we can all stand back and hand that money over at the end of my ultra run, and feel proud about it. That we've done a little bit. We've done a little bit to help people that we don't even know. We'll never even meet them. We'll never see them, but we'll know that we've done our little bit to try and make the world a little bit of a better place for our ex-servicemen and women that are suffering, and they shouldn't be suffering, and they're not getting the help, or they don't even know the help is out there. And then if we can raise even if we're not even if we don't hit the target of £1,000, we've still raised £500 and I'm still over the moon with that. But if this video and all this story strikes a nerve, or you actually think, actually, X, Y and Z, that sounds a bit like my uncle, my brother, my dad, whatever, get them onto combat stress. So if we, even just by raising awareness for the charity, we're still doing a bit there, aren't we?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and one of the other things is, although you raised it before about it's easy to find the number, just go on your phone and dial it in, and the phone number will come up. Yeah, that's fine. But if you know someone, and you think that they're a veteran, and you think that this could help them, or any part of my journey so far, could help them, just look round your emergency department next time you go to the hospital. All the NHS hospitals now should have a pack, and it says if you are a veteran, and inside it are all the different groups, not just combat stress, not just stop courage, everything else are in this pack. And in that pack, and also on the walls, there is a laminated sheet, A4 paper, and it's got all the QR codes for each different one. You just pick your phone up, scan it, and it'll take you straight to that group, and that's your contact for a friend or a loved one, and that'll get you going.
Yeah, so that's it. You don't have to wait for them to actually get the help. You can start the ball rolling yourself if you know they need that help. So with that, mate, thank you very much.
Shane,
appreciate your time, mate. Hopefully we'll get to £1,000, and I'll be doing that on the Good Friday bank holiday. So I will put a link to combat stress and a couple of other links that Ollie's gone on about today, and obviously my GoFundMe. But yeah, thank you very much, and take it easy.
Well done, mate.
Let's give that a do.